Hope everybody's doing well this morning. Um, I'd really like to tell a story about Bailey Dowling, so she's still in the room. We went to Northern Iowa to play in 2013 after we won the national championship, and I'm from Iowa. Jaden Spencer is from Iowa, and Kate Harris, our director of ops, are all from Waterloo, Iowa. So we go there, and the Dowlings drive up from Champaign, Illinois, to watch us play Illinois because they were in the tournament as well. And I think Bailey might have been in fourth grade or fifth grade. And in between our doubleheader that day, Jackie Traina, who's returning MVP of the World Series, first team All-American, she's making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for the team, like outside the dugout. And Bailey sees that, and she's just enthralled that Jackie Traina, the star pitcher for Alabama, is making everybody's lunch. And on the way home, it was about a 6-hour car ride from Cedar Falls to Champaign. She started telling her mom and dad that she would love to play at Alabama. And then about, I think 2 or 3 years later, I get a phone call from her high school coach saying, hey, there's a kid up here that's pretty darn good. You might want to watch her. And then it just kind of went from there. And it's just a strange story of how a kid ends up at a school. And we had Jackie Traina speak to this year's team on a Zoom about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and we also told her that story. So I give Jackie Traina credit for getting Bailey Dowling to Alabama.
All right, we'll start the questions and we'll go ahead with Robert.
Hey, Coach. You guys have had a dominant season thus far in the pitching circle. What type of mentality do you ask for your pitchers to have?
I just think, give us your best shot, and whatever you have on that day, give us 100% of XYZ. And, just after the game on Sunday, I think it was, we were like, you guys really need to just relish the shutouts, because I don't care who you're pitching against nowadays. The athletes are better. The bats are hot. The ball is hot. I mean, the whole thing about softball is more offensive oriented right now. And to throw a shutout in a Division I game is pretty dang impressive. And the defense needs to, they got a huge hand in that. The catcher, it's called a battery for a reason. The pitcher and her are together. Give credit to Stephanie Prothrow for calling the game, for throwing a shutout. But it's special, and and even in a doubleheader sweep of North Carolina, where I think it was 4-0, 2-0, that's a lot of innings of shutout ball. So want that shutout, really, really be greedy with the ball and don't give up a run. And that obviously you can't give extra outs, so the defense has to play well too. So I think it's that mentality is really good right now for our pitching staff.
Go ahead, Brett.
Hey, Coach. Bailey expressed the team's excitement to get finally going with the SEC games this week, and then once you're done with next tournament, get full into the SEC. Speak on your excitement to get into the SEC and what you kind of need to work on in these next final week and a half, so to speak, to get ready for this onslaught of SEC.
Well, I think, looking at some of the stats, we need a little bit more offensive production from everybody on the team. Just a little bit more. Nobody has to hit 1,000, but just a little bit more. Getting on base, taking a walk. I thought we had 4 or 5 walks that we could have had against Troy on Sunday that we swung at a pitch and either popped up or struck out. And sometimes that's the quality pitcher too, and they had a good pitcher going. So just take what they give you. So if you get a walk, you take it. And just little things that we need to clean up. We had a couple of errors that weren't really tough plays that we need to make. So, our base running could be better too. I think our leads aren't as good as they can be when we steal. I noticed that on a replay. So we're going to work on that for sure. But it's exciting to, we got to play LSU twice, and now we get to play Mississippi State, and weather's supposed to be good. I know they're going to have a really good team. They have a deep pitching staff. and they have two of the best power hitters in the country on their team, and they hit back-to-back in their lineup. So it's going to be a fun night.
Go ahead, Katie.
You kind of with the close in there just got to my question, but I was going to talk about Mississippi State's power hitters. You just talked about relishing the shutouts. So what's the kind of preparation for the pitching staff knowing that you got some big power hitters coming in on Wednesday?
Well, you can't be afraid to go at them, because if you're afraid to go at them, you're going to throw something right down the middle of the plate. And you really can't afford to walk them because obviously they hit back-to-back. But they've got a strong lineup up and down. They played well over at Texas. They gave Texas a heck of a good game. I think it was an 8-7 game when Texas came out, but State threatened a ton. They're a team that really never gives up, so you can never count them out. We have to pitch well. We have to play great defense. We can't give them extra outs. And then offensively, we need to adjust to whatever they do in terms of pitching because they have 6 ladies on their staff. They have a lefty and 5 righties. And if they switch a pitcher, we have to attack the next one. And I think too many times we have let the reliever get, into a groove. And then, you look up at the scoreboard and it's 4 innings later and it's 0-0-0-0. And we let the reliever kind of get us. And we need to make sure that whoever they pitch, and if they switch, we need to make adjustments quickly. So, like against Texas, they used 3 different pitchers. So we need to be ready for that.
Go ahead, Brett.
Hey, Coach, you talk about it all the time, and you mentioned it earlier in your opening statement. You can go 2, maybe 3 deep at each position. 14 games in the season now. Do you kind of have an idea or a mindset what you kind of want at each position, or is it a lefty-lefty matchup? Is it who's hot? How does it kind of work?
It could go that way. And, what hurt us, too, is when both KB and Jenna Johnson went down with injuries, and they were basically starting from day one. So we've lost 2 starters. But there's been some kids that have, picked up right where they left off. Kat Grill was on base 3 times in one game in the 9 spot. Maddie Morgan has continued to hit well. She's given us a really good shot. So some people had picked it up after those 2 got hurt. But I think it's we're still looking at matchups in terms of who will be out there. State really likes the long ball. There's not as much team speed, so that could play a factor in who we play.
Go ahead, Robert.
Hey, Coach. Lexi Kilfoyle has just looked more locked in than she did last season. How do you think the extra months off have allowed her to strengthen her mental game?
Well, I think last year, one of the tough games was against UNC that opening weekend, and we had UNC and Florida State. We played them twice, and we were up 8-4 in the 7th inning, and Kilfoyle was doing well. She had beaten them the day before. We brought her in, and then boom, all of a sudden, we lose it 9-8, and I don't think that probably ever happened to her in summer ball or high school, where it just started to snowball. So those experiences last year have really helped her. And I don't know if you've noticed that she's really, at the end of the game, she's really done a good job of shutting somebody down and not giving them anything. And I think it helped her. She obviously she's very talented. She's very hard to lift her pitches because she throws a heavy drop ball. She's got great off speed. She hits her spots pretty well. I thought Sunday she only made 1 bad pitch, and that was the 0-2 to the kid that hit the double. So she's just been really, really good. And you're right, her mental game has been on spot. She hasn't gotten rattled yet. So kudos to her, and hopefully she's learning as she goes.
Any other questions for Coach Murphy?
We'll see you guys tomorrow night then, right?
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thanks a lot.